A work of art is the embodiment of its creator's influences and perspective. To know the perspective of sculptor Iain Fraser is to take the first step toward fully appreciating his work. Fraser is also an architect. His sculptures are architectural fantasies that take the viewer far beyond the conventional.
Sculpture, or artistic enterprise in general, is very integral to the architectural process. If it looks a little bit kind of risky, so be it.
Iain Fraser is Canadian-born, a native of Ottawa, but his college education was in the U.S., including graduate school at Washington University. Fraser's been teaching at the University School of Architecture since 1976, and he had a private architectural practice through the 1980s. Fraser's earliest sculptural fabrications were made while he was still in college. His approach of form over logic drives his work to this day.
This is an interesting piece because it's earlier in that transitional mode from architectural modeling to what I'm doing now. I was just kind of thinking while I was working on one project, wouldn't it be fun to try, thinking about the space between two tall buildings and what it would be like to walk from one building to another. And I just started working with the cardboard that I had been making the other architectural models out of. And a couple of days later, after 2 or 3 fairly intense periods, this emerged, and it led to other investigations and became more and more abstract. Moving from that one to this, working with the same idea of a more architecturally specific quality, but with a kind of more fantastical kind of sensibility. It's not a building that you would ever imagine being built. On the other hand, wouldn't it be wonderful if it was? Wouldn't it be great to be up there looking down and to know that your office was in there somewhere, or your home was back there, and that what other things would be going on. A little thing like this allowed me to think of line drawing and the old frame drawings that computers did in the old days, framework drawings. And so I thought, well, what happens if I just take a fairly conventional kind of shape and form and distort it like a perspective drawing? So you have things moving off into vanishing points. So the building is, or the model is, of something that might be a building, but it also might be a representation of a form of representation. This could be, if you imagine yourself, standing there that big, this could be quite a large thing. On the other hand, here we are looking at it like this, and it could be, kind of a modest piece in a large room. But, you could also say, wow, this could be a crystalline, gem-like thing that is microscopic. We could be looking at this through a microscope and getting that different sense. So the lack of specificity of its size is an important way of starting to kind of engage the imagination. But the main thing for me is when I'm making them is that they end up becoming domains, where a here and a there and a place over there, that I can imagine the scenario of what would I do if I was in it, and why would I be there, and how do I give it meaning? So many times in architecture we have to start with a sense of purpose, and in these pieces I discover the purpose as it comes through.
But sense of purpose came first with several utilitarian yet dramatic pieces of furniture Fraser created, including this coffee table.
The shape of the space, of the chairs sitting around, how we imagine the space suggested an oval, and then the question was how to support an oval with an exciting and dynamic piece that would reflect the kind of motion that a conversation has.
And there's this side table Fraser crafted for his most intimate domain, his bedroom.
And the back of it is simply a large backdrop to keep things from falling off the back. But it's also an opportunity to create a sense of place on the tabletop. Instead of just being a flat plane, it actually is a little bit of a room.
In early 2005, the Sheldon Art Galleries held an exhibition of some of Iain Fraser's work. 2 of his pieces are still on display in Sheldon's Lopata Sculpture Garden.
Well, Iain's work deals with imaginary architectural space, so I love the way the pieces, as imaginary evocations of spatial relationships work with this space, which is actually an in-between space, a space in between these two buildings. Iain's dealing with conceptual ideas about architectural space, and he's translating them into his sculpture. And I think it's a beautiful way of talking about space, not only specifically in his work, but also how they relate to the sculpture garden.
I can't have it all, but I would like it. I really would like it.
Photojournalist Esther Smoller owns a few Iain Fraser works and says she's right at home with them because she likes edgy things.
See, there are two pieces, and also if you can turn them any way you want, and any way you turn them looks to me great, to me. I mean, there's always something going on. Something, if you turn this around, and also where I situated it is so when you walk in you can see it all around. But any way you move it, I think it looks great. It does something to me. It just makes a cohesive piece. This to me is a city. Now see, this does evoke a particular, I don't know if you can call a city an object, but it's representative of a city. It looks like New York City to me. I mean, this certainly made this blank wall into something really interesting and exciting.
I look at you guys with 40 years ahead of you, and I think, I wish I was, in that spot right now. It would be great.
As director of the undergraduate program at Washington University School of Architecture, Fraser holds occasional seminars to discuss all manner of issues relating to the practical and creative aspects of the field.
It's a license. I mean, if we thumb through those sketchbooks, there's probably drawings in there too. Is that right? Is there a sketch? Would you show us? To me, these are the things that make Laura, Laura, because I'm sure that if we all went to the same place, there would be similar drawings, but they're going to be different in their own way. They're going to be her way of doing it. They're going to be her agenda. So we're all looking at the same thing, but she is drawing something that's going to be slightly different from what you'll draw, Alex, or what you'll draw, Eric, or what you'll draw, Rachel. There will be a whole series of pieces that kind of move up and around and over. Like this piece. We'll go in here.
Fraser's future plans include preparing 2 exhibits over the next 2 years. He's also looking forward to expanding his sculpting media and casting works in glass and cement.
The most rewarding experiences in art, for me at least, and I think for many people too, are the most challenging ones.